What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Live Beyond Average podcast. Here with Devin Clay, my man. This is round number 2 for us, dude.
Yep.
We did one here 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And that episode actually got a pretty good amount of listens already. I'm stoked.
We covered a pretty good episode.
Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff and a lot of our content lately with everybody. Dustin's been on, and we had Zach on. We've been covering a lot of different subjects, a lot of hunting, a lot of just fitness, a lot of just general stuff. It's been awesome. And you've been hammering out at work. We got some rain today, so brought you inside, and you're like, sweet, let's do a podcast.
Yep, and it's good to be back. I mean, hopefully we can get some good content again today and some good listeners.
Oh yeah, dude, it's going to be good. So, Devin, we were talking on text a little bit, and of course, we're finally getting some nice weather here in South Dakota. It's been a drawn-out winter. We all know that.
It has been that.
And we're talking a little bit of bow stuff, a little bit of archery, because we're both breaking out our bows here this week, kind of for the first time. You finally got the hand healthy, getting there.
Got myself a new release. Had to go to a finger pull one instead of the wrist one, just because of my wrist surgery that I had not too long ago. And I mean, this time of year, turkey season's coming to a wrap. I'm done with that, and now my mind is totally shifted to archery. South Dakota's archery's September 1st now, and I mean, it really gets everybody pumped up. And the big thing that I'm looking at right now is hoping to do an antelope archery hunt this year.
First time doing the archery antelope. Okay, so before we get into that, you said turkey's all wrapped up. You did it. You got a nice turkey too.
Yeah. It was a decent turkey. It wasn't one of my biggest ones, but I went with a couple buddies and we all tagged out within about 10 seconds of each other.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
We came across a few and we were out there hunting, and it was a windy, kind of miserable day, and it snowed actually overnight, and so turkeys were just kind of wound up, not coming into calls. Plus, your calls kept getting wet, and so we were having a real big issue with that. And then just when we were out wandering around, popped over a hill, and there they were. We kind of did a little bit of a 3 count, and the 2 toms that we saw were too far out, and they got onto tribal land. So the other ones were still on our ground, so we were able to get. We actually got 3 jakes.
Yep.
Which was still great. I mean,
dude, that's
all
awesome.
tag out.
Heck yeah.
That quick, and still got it in my freezer right now, hoping to smoke it up here before too terrible long.
Dude, we got to do that. That'd be awesome. Well, that's sweet. I know you sent me over the text. I was stoked for you. You and Zach both had some success with the turkeys this year. I'm a little jealous because I didn't get to go out.
It's always fun. I'm not a huge turkey hunter, but it's definitely something great to do. Especially, this time of year when there's not a lot of hunts going on, it's something that at least to get you out there, get out in the field. It was great for me, especially because I was able to finally get back outside and do something. And
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Weather could have been a little nicer, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We made the best of it, so.
For sure. So, okay, you're talking to me this week a little bit about archery antelope. It's your first time doing it, and I kind of laughed at you right away when you said you were going to do archery antelope.
I'm glutton for punishment, and I know I've talked to you about it before in McCraney, and me and Landon are hoping to go out this year and make something happen there. But what I wanted to talk to you about is kind of the differences between the archery antelope and archery deer, and kind of what you've experienced and lessons that you may have learned off of doing that, because I know a lot of guys really struggle the first 4, 5, 6 times they go out archery antelope hunting before they end up having any success at all.
For sure. So me and Matt did it a lot, like season 2, season 3, season 4. We were out there. I mean, I was spending so much time out west archery antelope hunting because I had nothing else going on that time. Like, I wasn't drawing elk tags in September. And so, our season in South Dakota opened up mid-August, so we'd go out. You're just antsy to get out, so we'd go out mid-August. It's not the most conducive time to actually archery antelope hunt, like decoying. Mm-hmm. You can obviously sit water holes, things like that, which honestly is that is the way to hunt antelope, is to sit water holes, but that's just not the style of hunting I do.
Yeah.
And so I'm such a big spot in soccer. I just love that challenge. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing more fun and more frustrating than trying to sneak up on a goat, because you're still going to use a decoy just to try to close the distance. You're not necessarily trying to bring them in. You're just trying to get within range. And it was funny because the first morning we went out, we literally decoyed in a buck. Like right away, the first 30 minutes we're in, like drove by, saw an antelope off on public land, like 70 yards, just bedded down in this tall grass. So we just like drove down 3/4 of a mile, got out, hiked all the way around him, like came in, decoyed him in, and he like came all the way around, just sucked it in, and I got a 70-yard shot and like shot over top of him, and I'm like, dude, you don't mind, this is easy. I'm like, we'll get another shot. Like,
never happens that easy, right?
Yeah. Dude, it's exactly, you go the next 12, 13 tries, and stuff just keeps busting out on you. Like, they bust out, and then again you get another shot on the next one. So like literally it's just a game of numbers. Like get as many stocks, and that's the difference that I find with like my archery mule deer. Is like the one huge difference is antelope, I'm like game of numbers, getting as many stocks as I can and just keep trying and don't get pissed off that you have cactus in your hands and your knees and that you can't get shots. With like the archery deer, I'm all about sitting back, being patient. Like I'll watch the same group of deer day after day, and it's like, oh, why aren't you going in and trying to shoot one of those? And I'm like, it's not bedded in the perfect spot for me to slip in and kill that deer. Like I'll watch that same deer until he makes a mistake on day 4 and sits up in a bad spot that I can come up over the top of him and drill him.
A little bit of quality shooting versus quantity shooting in those situations. Yeah, I know one of my bosses, he's a huge antelope archery hunter, does it every year, a couple times a year if he can, and they always seem to have luck. And I was like, man, what do you do? And he's like, I practice some longer range shooting before it. He's like, you can't treat it like a deer hunt or, out of a tree stand where you're waiting for that 40, 50-yard top shot. He's like, you got to be comfortable with shooting 60, 70 yards easily to be able to have good success because they are harder to get up on.
Totally. And it's not like you have as much of an opportunity to set up a ground blind and hunt water because you're hunting public land. So you're not setting it up where water, letting those antelope get used to that ground blind, sitting there for a month and a half of the summer.
Especially people that live on our side of the state, where we don't have anything close by, and we're, I know you and me, the couple times I have hunted antelope, have driven way out to like Harding County, South Dakota, where that's a day's drive just to get out.
Yeah, you're opposite corner of the state.
Wanting to leave stuff sitting out there and to get all the animals used to it and everything else.
Oh, your blind's getting jacked.
Really isn't an option.
Yeah,
you're not going to do that.
No, not one bit. So he keyed in on, that's another great point, is you have to be practicing longer range. Start being effective at those better ranges. If you actually go back, what season was it? So season 2 we hunted that antelope. Like it's actually a pretty decent episode for like our season 2 of like kind of showing what that spot and stock is like. It's challenging. And then in season 3 I remember like I missed a couple shots in season 2 and like a couple ones that I just shouldn't have missed, but you just do. And one that actually like, here's another tip, like you and Landon plan on going together, like having one guy run that decoy and that rangefinder and trying to just give you range so you can come up. That was going to be my next
question. Have you had better success or feeling, I guess, about it when you're out there hunting with somebody else versus by yourself?
Oh, it's
trying to get those guys in.
Way easier if you can have Landon, taking turns, have him rock that decoy for you and the rangefinder. So the only thing you have to think about is getting the shot. Exactly. And so like one of the times, Matt, we snuck up on this. I mean, they were a group of small goats, but it was like day 7 or 8 of us doing this, and we're like, we'll take what we can get. And we got in, and like they came finally. Like we'd get to 100 or 90 yards, and they just kind of feed out to 110, and like we did this for like a half mile, and finally we got to like 80 on him, and it was just enough to like tweak one out, and he came just like sprinting in at us, and I was like, Matt's like, come in, and so I'm like, okay, range, and he's like 35. But I heard 65.
Yeah.
It's like I come up
this episode,
right over the top, and I'm like, "How'd I miss that shot?" Like
I remember the look on Matt's face when you did that.
And so we start talking, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't believe I missed that 55-yard shot." And Matt's like, "55," and I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I said 35." And like this is all on the show. And he's like, No, I said 35, and I'm like, oh, I heard 55, dude. And so
that,
it's like communication. That's the next tip.
And out there, and then many people, I'm sure, are like me, and you can't judge distances in those wide open areas.
And it's antelope are completely different than deer.
I always try to look at it as, how many football fields is that? You know, when I'm out there trying to
from a rifle,
trying to gauge yardage there. And,
for sure.
It's difficult, especially when you get closer. You know, you get into that 30 to 50 yards. To me, it looks about the same. It's like
and the antelope. It's not like we're looking at them a bunch like deer. But it seems like you just look at deer more often. Like we're hunting deer more often. We're looking at them. We're judging them. You know, you're actually scouting them, so you just see deer more than the archery antelope. When you're rifle antelope hunting, you're not getting that close anyway.
No, and you don't need to. Yeah,
exactly. And so it's just a different feel. So that whole communication thing with your partner, like. Me and Matthew have done it where I ran the decoy and had my bow while he was sneaking behind me with the camera. And it's you can do it.
Difficult.
You can do it, but like honestly, it's way more difficult. You have that second guy running that decoy for you and that rangefinder, way easier.
Okay.
So next tip, I would say, and you can see this in the prepping series of I think of season 3 if I remember right, is being really quick when you're behind that decoy and you come up and draw. Practice doing that, coming up and drawing and trying to get a quick shot.
Trying to hit your anchor point quick.
And it's kind of the opposite of that. Like you're out practicing and not getting bad habits, but you don't have a ton of time from when you come up over the top of that decoy. You're at full draw. And I missed out on a really good goat, and that's on film. I can't remember if it's season 2 or 3, but I go full draw on him, and I missed that other shot that day, that 70-yarder for first, and it was in the back of my head.
Wanted to time it a little bit.
Yep. So I just anchored a little longer. I really wanted to get on him solid, and literally as I was like triggering that release, he turned in. This was a good goat. This was day 9 or 10. We went back out there in September, so he actually did decoy in, and we got in between him, his main herd, and we got snuck in kind of between him and his does, and he did not like that because we used a buck decoy, and he came in hard, and he was like 45 yards, and I just didn't shoot fast enough.
So what you're saying is all those guys that want to shoot 70 pounds and maybe have a little struggle pulling it back should probably drop it a little bit before they go out there.
Something that they can that's always though
easily pull.
But I can't speak because I shoot an 81.6
and
pound draw.
I shoot a 70-pound draw.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm having any trouble getting a quick pullback on that. I'm just saying if you do obviously drop it some for that.
And I know that I especially you go out to the archery ranges around here, and I do that whenever I get the chance to, especially this time of year. You do see a lot of people that are. They want to get the speed, they want to get the power, they want to be able to stretch out their range a little bit, and they're probably exceeding the draw weight that they should comfortably be doing. And
100%.
For something like that though, when you got to be able to make a quick draw and a quick smooth draw and hit your anchor point, it's probably not a bad idea to shoot a more comfortable poundage.
The nice thing is you might not be holding that draw as long.
True.
So it's like you got to play with where you should be at. But that's with I think that's with all archery, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I think it gets a little bit different. For tree stand hunters.
You're cold. You have a lot of clothes on.
Yep.
What should that draw weight be for you?
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic.
That is a whole other topic. That might be a good pivot point actually.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't do a lot of tree stand hunting.
I used to. That's all I used to do back in the day.
And I've gotten into it a little bit lately.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, and that is a whole different ball game on strength. It's a mental strength. I mean, the last time I went, I did a couple 12-hour sits.
Oh, that sounds like torture.
Just to make yourself sit there for that long. And I'm the same way. I like to get out and walk, and I've also, shot myself in the foot, theoretically, or hypothetically speaking. There we go.
Yeah.
Doing that because I have sat for 4 hours in a stand, and you're just going crazy, and you're finally like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
You climb out, and then you hear footprints running out.
What was that? Was
rough.
That my buck? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and tree stand hunting, I know a lot of people, especially in the eastern part of the state.
It is the way, and
It truly is. I mean, it's a different territory, and growing up out west, what trees are we having stands on to begin with? But
right, I was lucky that I had a little spot that had a couple cuts that I could put tree stands in, and like that's how like I really got started. I love that side of it. Like I did spot and stock. Like I was actually doing that, but I was like, between that, I was still spot and stocking whitetails technically, because I'd watch river bottom bucks. Uh-huh. We had the spot on the river bottom, and I would just go in where I'd glass them from up on top. I'd see where they were coming out across the river, and I would just go sit up next to a tree or sit against a bale. Like I was still technically, I mean, I was like tree stand blind hunting, but I was still spot and stocking. Like
I just hybrid there.
Yeah, and then finally I started watching. I started watching hunting TV shows, and I was like, they're all sitting in tree stands, and so in my mind, like I started
the thing to do.
Yeah, so I started hanging stands. Like actually, like me and Clayton, my cousin, started hanging stands together in the summer when we were in high school, and we started doing kind of that year-round management where we were putting in mineral licks. We were doing that. We were camera. We were taking inventories. We were starting to plant some food plots. Like ironically, my dad sent me a picture today of this tractor. I had some land locked in that I could hunt, and they let me put in food plots. I went up to Peter, rented a tractor, came back, tilled it all up so I could put it in. I planted like this 1.5 acre food plot. Ironically, my dad sent me a photo of me doing that this morning. So it's funny that you bring it up.
And so I remember doing one of those with
you. Did it? Yeah,
point.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yep.
And because I did it for several years, and like I have a really big whitetail over here, big 4x4 that's 156, 157, I think, and like it was funny because I shot him with my bow on the place that I hunted, and I worked my butt off on this food plot. They were hitting it all summer. Fall came, nothing was on it. The season was over. Like, where are all the deer? So I go over to this other side of the property and I check a camera, and I mean I have a lot of deer on inventory this piece of property. And this guy's on it. Never seen him. Never had a photo. Super thick, big 4x4. Like he's big old brows. And I'm like, dude, like he's coming up on this. Like had a couple pictures going on top of this alfalfa field. I literally went up and put a ground blind in there. Sat out the next weekend. He came in right away that morning. Dad was running the camera, and I shot him. Like just crazy how that stuff works out. You work your butt off somewhere else, and they.
Man, I can't tell you how many times. Yeah. I mean, we go out to where we hunt out west, and we throw up trail cams everywhere. I mean, we put out like 15, 16 trail cameras, spread them out over, it's over about a 12 to 15,000
and
acre place.
You've been on that place since you were a kid.
Yep.
You know how the deer move there.
And still, I can't say how mule deer are so hard to get on camera out there. I don't know why it is. Mainly because, where they travel versus where whitetail travel. But I can't say how many times that we've put up all those cameras and week before season, deer vanish.
Yeah, nothing.
It's like, okay, we had, the big 5x6 running through here or 6x6, whatever, really nice deer. Now we got forkies. Like what happened to them? And they switch. I mean, as soon as their seasons or whatever come about, they change their pattern up. And
you have to hope that.
Then you're running around checking all your other cameras, like, is this the same one? You're trying to compare them. And
and that's like one of those times where like you have those deer that are on your property and they leave your property. You have to just hope that there's a deer over there that leaves that property and comes onto yours that is a good deer. And it happens, and that's like. Out west, where some of these areas we hunt, that is super typical because deer put on, and deer here, I mean deer everywhere. They put on miles during that time of year. Like I've looked at several studies that they've come out with of how many miles some of these deer are putting on, and it's insane.
Yeah, it
like
is.
And some of the does that are putting on these their travel corridors during different times of the year is nuts. It's
they move a lot. Yeah.
It's in the double digits. Yeah, it's a lot of miles.
So yeah, I mean, it's this. Like I said, this time of year, I'm just I'm really excited to get back out there, start using my bow again, start getting my comfort level built back up into that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows you pick up your bow for the first time this time of year, and you're like, holy cow! Like, what happened to my groups? Like,
oh, dude, my groups always get out there.
But
I don't shoot enough in the winter.
Keep putting in the practice, and it really. You'll see them tighten back up, and that's great.
Yeah, I actually have to get new strings put on my bow this year. So I got a new bow in season 5, and we're going to be going into season 7. And I noticed last year in the middle of my, like at the end of the summer, that like my groups were shooting like 2 inches low.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the heck? Like I didn't change anything. And I'm like, oh, I've shot this thing a lot over the last 2 summers. I'm like, I bet my strings are getting a little stretched.
Yep.
And so I shoot a 3-pin adjustable. And so I just like brought it down. Every time if I was shooting for 60, I would shoot on my thing for like 62, 61 and a half. And it made up for those 2 inches. But this year I'm like, I'm not going to play that game. I got a big elk hunt coming up again. Like, I got to
safe than sorry, right?
Yeah, so I got to get the new strings on here soon. I actually forgot my bow back in Myrtle last weekend. So I'm going to go back this week, pick it up. I'll bring it back, get some new strings put on. I suppose I'll have to adjust sights a little bit, play with that for a week, and get it on again.
Doing these spot and stock archery hunts, do you have a broadhead that you like to use? I know a lot of guys like to use the Rage or the Muzzies, if they like the fixed blades.
Yep.
I personally...
What do you use?
I like the G5 Strikers.
Yep.
They got the replaceable blades. They're fixed blades. I've had just too many issues doing spot and stocks with mechanical blades. They snag on something, like
pop open.
You're trying to quick stick them back together. Your collar's broken or your rubber band's gone, and it's not gonna work. So now you're down an arrow. And, so you got a preference?
Yeah. So my first bull that I killed in New Mexico in season 1, I killed with a striker actually. Actually like 4 strikers because I drilled him through the lungs at 20. He ran out, stopped at 21, and put another one through him. He like spun, was still at like 25. He was facing straight away, but there was like we were hunting public and there was private like a quarter mile. And I'm like, he's facing straight away. And I'm like, I'm gonna put
down.
Yeah, so I drilled him again, him facing away. He spun again, and I put a 4th one in him through the lungs, and then I put my 5th arrow on there as he was still standing, and Justin's like, just wait, don't use that arrow yet, and then he just plumbed. But so I used that, then I was kind of like, I don't know, like, should I have had to put 4 arrows through it? But no, great broadhead. My dad actually killed his bull in season 5 with the Montec, which is like the same thing as a striker pretty much. I actually killed my first antelope with the bow with the it's the G5. I can't remember, but it has like the outer you know how like all the other blades like cross and they come out like this. It's actually they sit on the outside and they just pan out. I can't remember the term.
The Havoc?
Yeah, the Havocs. Yeah. It was the first year the Havocs came out, and dude, I shot that goat at 80, and like I actually shot low and like didn't go anywhere, and I was actually really impressed with that. But I just didn't like it because they flipped open all the time. Yeah. So I did not like those. Did not use them again. But since then, I've actually I switched over to the Rage, just the Rage, and I killed a white-tailed doe with one of those. I'm trying to think. I actually went on this big dry spell for several years. I didn't kill anything, and then when they came out with the Rage, just came out with the new tripans a couple years ago. So I switched the tripans season 5, and I shot this bull with the tripan at 10 yards and destroyed him. He like just went down 50 yards and died in like 20 seconds. And so I was like really impressed with that, and like blood everywhere. Super impressed with that. A week and a half later, came back to South Dakota, snuck up on a mule deer, shot him at 48, and like check out that footage in season 5. That mule deer literally took like 10 steps and fell over. Like I shot him at 48, he took 10 steps and like looked up at me like, well, something was up there, and fell over. Like I literally had comments that were sent to me on YouTube and like DM'd to me that were like, did you seriously shoot that deer with a bow, or did you shoot him with a rifle? And I'm like, dude, the footage is uncut. Like that deer was shot with a bow, dude. Like, and so like and again, like you could like we went down, the arrow blew straight through him and stuck in the ground behind it, and it was like an episode of Dexter. It was like somebody just like opened it and like threw blood everywhere. Like it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I'm really sold. And the thing I love about those tripans is like that collar that you mentioned is a different system. They're not like that rubber crappy collar. Like they're a hard plastic, and so they lock in much better. And you can buy I just keep a little, I keep a little tube. Yep, place into my pack. Not that I'm gonna sharpen that up anyway. A lot of times, like, I don't even reuse. I know they're expensive, but like, I just pitch them because I don't want, like, I don't know. I just want them. I want them perfect. I'm just that way.
I want it to be new and want to make sure it's gonna work.
Yeah, because I'm like, really, realistically, I'm using it once.
Yeah.
Like, I'll spend the money to use that one time.
That's kind of how I figure with them too. It sucks because you're like, $10 or $20.
Yeah, like $20 now a piece. Pretty much.
But it's like, next time you got a nice tag, especially for something like this or whatever.
I don't want them getting away.
Do you want your tag to go to waste?
Yeah.
Or do you want your arrow to go to waste?
Right.
Or your broadhead, I guess.
And so right now, I'm really sold on those dry pans. Like, I am not sponsored by anybody. But I've just had, and then I turned around, killed my mule deer this year again with a dry pan, and I had not a great shot on him. Like, he was angled really hard away from me, and I slipped it up, and it actually went through part of it. I was farther back than I thought, and it went through part of his hip and still went up and through.
So they're getting good penetration.
They're getting insane. But I'm also shooting 305 feet per second with a 505 grain arrow. Like, it's stupid. But yeah, it's still boom up and got into his lungs. He went down. I put another sneak on him, drilled him again. And so right now I'm just I've had great luck, and so I really like them. But I also I haven't had bad luck with anything else. I just love the fact that I can throw those tri-pans on there, and I know they're going to fly the same. Where I've had struggle putting on a fixed blade and getting them to fly the same, and so that stresses me out. And I'm very much I'll get my archery I get in my own head.
Yep.
And so I'm I just
kind of like golf.
Yeah, dude, you nailed it. I get in my own head fast, and I just literally if I get in my head with a bow, I did this with one of my old bear bows that I killed my first bull with, and then I had some bad luck with it. I was in my head with it so much. Finally, my wife was like, "Sell the bow and go buy a new one." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I sold the bow. So I sold the whole setup. I didn't want anything from it. I went and got this new setup, and right away killed a new bull. Everything's just been great. So I'm just you gotta get rid of the bad juju sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that about the broadheads. I mean, because going out there and knowing I'm gonna have to extend some of those shots most likely. That is one of my concerns. Shooting mainly fixed blades is flight. I mean, the consistency of the flight. The mechanicals are going to do a little bit better. And,
I think so, but I have no scientific.
I can't. I don't either. But that's what I hear. So I'm guessing that's probably got some evidence to back it. But
agreed.
So I mean that's always a good thing to know. And I know arrows are getting to be so high tech anymore. To get your weight, to get a nice weighted arrow. I know some of my buddies have upgraded theirs recently, getting, I think they're Easton full metal jackets.
That's what I'm shooting, yeah.
Yeah, and
I really like them.
Gold Tips make some really nice kinetics, I think they're called.
Okay,
help with penetration, and I'm still shooting old Beemans, and I have...
Dude, but
I've had no issues with them. I've had good luck with them.
Yep.
At the end of the day, when I compare them to some people, I'm like, do I need to?
Yeah.
Do I need to upgrade? Do I need to not? For antelope, it's kind of hard to justify doing because I'm like, I might lose a lot of arrows out there. And,
you might. You very well probably
will.
Of
broadheads, and if you're running any glow knocks or anything like that on top of everything else, I mean,
right.
You never know how much money you're leaving out on the field.
Yeah, dude. Agreed. And one of the reasons I actually upgraded to the full metal jackets, it wasn't because it looked cool or something. It was it was one of the only arrows out there that weight-wise would go with my bow and the pound, the 80-pound limbs, the weight that I needed that. It was hard to find an arrow.
Yep.
Honestly, that wasn't going to be almost like dry firing your bow.
Yeah.
Because I almost was why did I buy? I was struggling so much to do it that I was cutting the line so thin that I was and the way my draw length is, my draw length's long enough with an 80-pound bow that it's you have to have a freaking heavy arrow.
Yeah.
It's you're shooting fence post stakes through that thing.
And I mean,
it's nuts.
The 80-pound bow is something I was hoping to look into here before too terrible long because I do have a short.
You have a short, yeah.
And even shooting a 70-pound bow, I go out with some of my buddies that have several inches on me in draw length, and they're shooting 10 pounds less, and their arrows are just sailing.
Yes.
And it's to up that poundage is great, especially if you feel comfortable pulling it back, and I I know I don't have any issue with that.
Right. For those guys with that shorter draw length, if you are a strong dude, a solid dude, and you practice a lot, you do a lot of spot and stock, you very well could benefit from having that heavier limb if you can handle it. Like you said, it goes on an individual basis. Just because a guy shoots 65 doesn't mean you should knock a guy who shoots 80-pound limbs. Like, you know, like I can literally go out and I've been lifting for 15 years. You know, so it's like for me to shoot 80-pound limbs is not a big deal. Like I pull 80 and I can hold it and squeeze really well, and it's natural to me because it's just I'm used to weight. I'm used to heavy things. Yep. So it's cool, you know, like I enjoy the extra, you know, I enjoy practicing at 100 yards right out here in my backyard. Like I'm never going to shoot at anything at 100 likely, but like it made me, when I shot that deer at 48, I felt like it was a chip shot. And years before that, it would have intimidated me. Yeah. And the fact that I was shooting at 100 all summer long, it built that confidence for that 50 and 60 yard shots that I can't explain it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
shooting 101. You practice for those further shots. You know, I go out to the range, I'll shoot 600, 1,000 yards or whatever. Yep. Am I plan on making those shots in the field? No, but if I can make those shots and I'm comfortable at those shots, when I get the opportunity at 400, 500, it's like,
which in South
Dakota, problem at all.
In South Dakota, when you're antelope hunting, a 400-yard shot is a normal thing. Yeah, it is a normal. It doesn't mean you have to take that shot, or if you're not comfortable, you should shoot it. But if you were practiced up, a 400-yard shot is great if that animal has no idea you're there.
Because you're gonna get a lot of those opportunities, especially at that. And you know, when you are public land hunting, one of those things that you got to keep in mind is those shots. You know, you might think, oh, I'll just pop over this next hill or do whatever. Well, by the time you get over that hill, somebody else might have already taken the shot or moved in and spooked them away. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen on public land, and being comfortable with some of those shots and just practicing can make a huge difference in the outcome of your hunts.
Yeah, so. And I know we've been talking about archery, but
we've kind of started
I've started taking my rifle practice. I'm trying to take it as seriously as like my summer archery. And I did that last summer. I shot way more through my rifle than I had like in my last several years combined. And holy smokes, did I feel really good behind the rifle this year. Because I'm like, so many people go out and they shoot at the weekend before. You know, the gun range is really busy out here in October.
We'll pop a couple off and make sure my sights are still zeroed, and then
it's good. But like last summer I went out on windy days. I saw how my bullet performed on specific winds. I knew how, like, okay, this does what my app is telling me, and my MOA holds for the wind is accurate. I can trust it. You know, and I just practiced that, and man, I felt so much more confident. And I'm like, if more guys would just take, and I was speaking to myself at the time, I'm like, why didn't I take my rifle practice the same way as I take my archery practice? Like, that is one thing I really enjoy about all the archery hunters around is how serious most of them take their summer practice or a winter league. Whatever it is, like, man, it's pretty neat how serious archery hunters are. Yeah. And I think that should carry over to the rifle hunting.
I think the mindset behind it is really what kind of cripples people a little bit, because they think it's with a rifle. Easy, you know, whatever.
Right.
I've always been shooting. But they haven't been practicing those shots. They haven't been shooting in the wind. They haven't,
in the field.
They haven't been doing it quickly or trying to get, into a nice position and testing out, just different shooting positions can be huge. What do you feel comfortable doing? Do you like laying prone? Practice sitting up because
what if it's the only way you can shoot at that deer that you want to shoot? What if it's the only position you can get into and it's awkward?
We've been doing that a lot, especially over the last couple of years. I got pretty heavily into reloading. And that, man, you want to talk about forcing yourself to practice shooting. Start reloading, because you are literally working from the bottom up, trying to get everything just right. And I mean, I probably take it way more seriously than I ever should.
You're an engineer, so go figure.
I'm trying to get bullets just right on top of each other at 500 yards, and it's like, that's not necessary. I'm not shooting competition here, but if you can, why not?
If you can do it.
I mean, it's in my opinion, a lot of it's making sure that you can make that ethical, quick kill.
Yeah.
And regardless of distance, I mean, if you can make an ethical shot and kill an animal, and part of that is just knowing your equipment and trusting it. And that goes back to archery, to rifle, to
right.
whatever.
It's that same mantra that we follow, that live beyond average.
Yeah.
That's why this is called the Live Beyond Average podcast. It's like, if you can do something that's beyond average, why wouldn't you try to do it? It's like,
work on it.
Work on it. And just because you can take that longer shot doesn't mean you're actually going to elect to. Like, I can shoot pretty well at a longer distance after Travis made me a great gun. And I found that monster mule deer this year, in our new film that we're off to see The Wizard. And I could have shot that deer at like 650.
Yep.
And I had shot 2 deer the year before at 650. I actually shot my Eastover buck this year at 650, and several deer at between 5 and 550. And I could have easily sat down and drilled them, but I was like, but I was just like, I can get in closer.
Yep.
And I didn't even want to risk it. And I was like, I'm getting in closer. I dropped down. I risked busting him out. And I snuck up on him like I had a bow in my hand, and I shot him at 40 yards.
Yep.
Like, I shot the deer of my life at 40 yards with a 1,000-yard gun.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I can't.
Yeah.
It's just like, just because you can shoot 1,000, you're still going to elect to do the best thing possible.
I think that's what most people are going to do. And, when we were even out at antelope hunting with rifle last year, we had a few opportunities to take a shot at 500-600 yards.
Yeah.
We ended up electing not to because, wasn't 100% comfortable with the layout, with how we were sitting.
The elements might not have been perfect.
We just felt like we could make a better, closer shot than what we were given. Not that we were, really concerned that we wouldn't make the shot, but
that's being a hunter.
We were trying to. It's respect to the animal as well. Making sure that you are, like I said, doing the best that you can to make a good shot and to end things as quick as possible. And so, we ended up spending a lot more time on our feet and moving around, and we ended up actually losing the bunch that we were going after.
Sure.
But, it all worked out in the end to where we were able to get 300-yard shots.
Yep.
And
what did you shoot What did you shoot your 170 whitetail at this year?
About 125 yards.
See, isn't that how awesome is that? Like,
yeah.
But it seems like the bigger the deer, the closer you want to be.
I know. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a nice buck way out there like. Yeah, I'll shoot it. It's like
this is a perfect
it's
situation.
Not a monstrous buck, and you're like, yeah, sure, no problem.
And
but when you see those big ones, and you're like,
I can get closer.
I don't want to mess this one up. I got to get closer. I got to make everything perfect. And it's back to the mind games. It's golf. You're starting to mess with your own thought process, and you start thinking, what if I miss? Like, is it gonna run? So you put in that extra footwork, and you try to get a little closer and. Yeah, it's a total mind game for how that happens.
It's crazy how it works, man. Absolutely crazy.
And it happens instantly, doesn't it?
Well, that's the cool thing about being a hunter, being on the field, is the decision making you have to make really quickly.
Yep.
In seconds, a lot of times, is just making those decisions. And then I've even found myself where I'm like, you're sitting so long watching, trying to make that decision, that at some point you have to execute. You have to just take a plan and execute it. I give Matt tons of crap for this because like he loves sitting back. It's his style, and like waiting, and I'm like, dude, let's make a move. Like let's make a move. Let's make a move. And even Matthew has filmed a lot of hunts for him. Like I know an elk hunt where he's like, dude, just pick one and shoot. Like it's a cow. Like pick one and shoot. Like don't let this opportunity go by. So at some point, it's like stuff happens so fast that at some point you have to just execute, go for it, and live with the result.
Just make a decision,
and live with the result.
And I've hunted with Matt quite a bit in the past as well.
And he's phenomenal. One of the best hunters I know.
Yeah, for sure.
I've learned so much from him.
He's a great hunter. He's a great shot, and
he's patient.
And that's the thing that just kills me. Because I feel like he's indecisive. But he's really just
actually
being patient. And he really tries to think out his shots and, the pros and cons of his hunt while he's doing it. Where me, I'm a little more like you, like go.
Yes.
Like I want to be on the move. I want to get the shot as soon as possible. I'm ready to go.
Yes, hunting with him over the last 6 years, like his hunting qualities have really rubbed off on me, and I've learned so much. He's made me such a better hunter because I've hunted with him so much. Like I wouldn't be the hunter I am now without hunting with him so much, because he rubbed off some good qualities on me. Like I probably wouldn't have shot Wizard this year, my huge mule deer, if it wasn't for Matt. Like he had to go back and farm. We were already hunting this deer, and he was like, dude, just hold out for that, because there was another nice wide buck that was strolling through there daily. Like, and I actually could have shot him like an hour and a half before I shot Wizard. He came through and I got on him and I could have drilled him at 300. And I was like, no, and I didn't. And I was like, it paid off. Like that whole quality of him saying, dude, that deer is worth holding out for. It is worth not filling your tag for. Like those little things, like, and now it's really stuck with me. That whole, like, dude, that's good. And same thing with this bull. That's what I did. I passed up 5x5s for 5 days. And dude, last day of the season, like, paid off. Like at some point when it's not an animal you want, you'll know when it's the animal you want. Yeah. And that's all that matters. Sure. If it's one you want, perfect.
When you see the one that you know, like, every now and then when you're hunting, you'll get lucky and you'll see the animal that there's no thought into it.
Yep, that's what I want.
Yep, that's it. Like, no questions. And I find that's when some guys make their best decision making and some guys make their worst.
Yep.
You learn. And the one thing that I will admit that I find out when I go on these hunting trips, especially with buddies, that I'm not quite the person I think I am when I'm out on these. I feel like I have patience. I feel like I have, the excitement for my buddies, especially when they get one. You're excited for them for about 10 seconds, and then you're like, damn it, I should have been over there.
It's like my buck.
Yeah. I've had that happen where I've taken, Hints was out with us a few years ago.
Sure. Really nice mule deer.
And I was just thinking to myself, like, that's where I was going to sit. I was stoked, and I still am stoked.
Of course.
I don't begrudge them for when they have good luck, but it's like,
it's your competitiveness, though.
Yeah.
It's not a down, like.
No,
like,
it's not.
So people
it's
get
not
context
like looking
of
down
this.
on them at all.
Right,
it's just
right.
like, man, like, your competitive edge kicks in. Now you're like, oh,
I wanted that.
Now I can't. The one I saw yesterday is a little small. Like, nope, forget that one. Moving on to the next. Like,
but that's you've done so. Like, you talk about cashing in karma points and the beautiful whitetail that you shot this year. Like, you have, so everybody knows, you have taken this group of guys out hunting every year for years, handfuls of years.
Yep.
And you've always allowed these guys, in a lot of years, to just kind of take their pick. You just kind of sat in a spot, they shot some deer, and finally this year you were kind of like, hey guys, there's a deer out there that I got on camera for the last 3 years, I think, and you were just kind of like, off limits, I'm going after this deer. And you kind of earned your right to finally step in and do that. You totally did. And the cool thing is, you got him like opening morning.
Yeah, and that's that just, you don't expect those kind of things to happen. And honestly, I figured we'd go out there and I wouldn't even see him.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the same group of guys. Well, mostly the same. They kind of change out. The core group is always the same. McCraney used to go quite a bit with us in the past as well, and we've kind of added and had some people start hunting otherwhere. And other people come in and. But yeah, I mean, typically that's how I try to be. Is everything's free game. I mean, it's hunting.
Exactly.
You can't. It's so hard to put dibs on an animal because you don't know where they're going to be or what's going to happen.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but for even myself, when the big one comes in, you know how hard it is to see a big deer and go, "Oh, that's my buddy's buck." Like,
yeah, it's stupid.
It's hard.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's nearly impossible.
Exactly.
And I do appreciate those guys because they do. This year they were like, especially Landon and Tyler were just like, dude, you have to put dibs on them. And I was like, well, I would like to, friends, but I was like, if you guys see them, don't not take them. But
yeah,
it's like, I don't know when you guys get them, but it's like, I'd be a little heart sick if somebody else shot them. But it was like, you just get into situations where it's hunting and it's you just want to make sure that the mature bucks, especially are the ones that get shot, and I definitely wouldn't want one of my buddies shooting a 3-year-old versus a 7-8-year-old. It doesn't make any sense. But,
right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So let's leave with this, unless you have any other questions.
No. I'm
okay.
Good.
So let's leave this. We veered from archery to rifle, which was awesome. So good pivot. So let's leave you with 2 things. What's your favorite bow? Set up as of right now, bow. It can be company and or bow, and then favorite caliber of rifle and why. You gotta give whys to both, otherwise it's just a statement.
I've always been a fan of Hoyt.
Okay.
And a lot of it goes back. Well, I engineer. I am an engineer, and one of the things I heard of a competition shooter. He got asked this very same question, and I think it was more directed as Hoyt or Matthews. Which one would you choose? And he said, they're both great companies. They both make great bows. But he said, I'll tell you the difference. He said, Hoyt is an engineering company that makes bows. He said, Matthews is a advertising company that makes bows. He says, that'll be the difference. And he said, that's why I shoot Hoyt. And to me, it kind of just strung a chord with me.
Yeah.
And I got nothing against either. I've shot some Matthews that are really nice. I've never owned one, but I've shot some nice ones. I used to own some Fred Bears, and
yep.
I've had good luck with those too. But I like how the Hoyts fit me, and I like how they shoot. And so, the Defiant's a really nice bow that Hoyt makes. They've been coming out with some new ones. I'm trying to think of what their new one is. I want to call it like WRX, but that's Subaru. Maybe it's the same thing. It might be what it's called. I don't know.
It's something like that.
It's a really nice bow. I think
WRX is the Subaru.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember if McCraney ended up getting one of those or not. I know he was talking about it. He's a huge Hoyt guy too. At one point, but big fan of the Hoyt bows. Nice. I like my bow quite a bit, and I'm always open to new though. I've never turned something down for a trial run on that.
Oh, of course.
And then, as far as gun caliber,
you got to pick one. It can't be like one for this, because that's what I would do. I pick one for situational. If I had to pick
one
across the board,
just one across the board,
you get to own one rifle.
And this is a personal opinion, and everybody's got their own that's going to fit them a little better. But I'm a big fan of 300 Win Mag.
It's a great caliber.
It's a great caliber. It can take any animal in North America or just about anywhere. I feel like you'd be pretty hard pressed to find an animal that it wouldn't take. And the long range capabilities with it are great.
Yep.
And one of the best parts about it is you can find ammo absolutely anywhere for them. You could go to a small town gas station and probably find 300 Win Mag ammo if you went on a hunt and forgot all your reloads back at home for some reason. You will have the opportunity to at least pick up some ammo. There's a lot of Wildcat rounds out there that sound great and they look cool and they might shoot well, but you go somewhere and you run out of ammo or lose your ammo or forget it, you're kind of SOL.
It's a great why.
And the 300 Win Mag, I have one. I shoot it a lot. I like gun. It. It's been an awesome round, and I know you're a big fan of the 7mm,
which is nearly identical.
Nearly identical. Yeah. And the one thing about 300 Win Mag is if you want to get the same kind of ballistic comparison to yours is, I shoot a 210 grain bullet out of it to kind of make up those differences.
Yeah, you shoot the 210 compared to my 178.
Yep.
And we're pretty similar stuff. Yep. Pretty similar stuff.
And I don't think you can go wrong with either.
I bet that 178's a lot more expensive. I don't know.
It's
about $70-$80 a box for both right now, isn't it?
I couldn't even tell you because I've been reloading for... Yeah. I haven't bought a box of ammo in a long time.
Yeah, it's been several years.
I got just tons of different bullets that I've tried out, from Berger to Nosler to Hornady to Barnes. I've tried a little bit of everything just to get the one that my rifle likes the best.
Yes, but you keyed in on a great point. Is you can probably buy around wherever you go. Something happens. I shoot that 178 grain Nosler for my 7mm, unreal shooting, but I have to make sure in the summer that I'm ordering and buying my because you can't even go into Cabela's or Shields and get that. Yeah, very seldom.
Well, you just gotta figure out your load, and we'll start reloading.
Well, and I was gonna say, I have Matt that he's supposed to be reloading for me. He does sometimes.
It's Matt,
but it's Matt, so it'll get done if he's not planting or farming or something. But and so it's you gotta be prepped. You gotta have. I always have the extra boxes.
And I always I got one last concluder for you here.
Perfect.
If you were to go on a backpack hunt, and you're hunting one animal.
Yep.
How many bullets you take?
Oh, dude, right.
This is always a big one for me because it always seems like I bring way too many because I end up shooting one.
Always. I never use more than one. It'd be two max, almost always. But then the minute I had packed 6, I'd missed the first 4 or something. You know what I mean? So it's I'd sacrifice weight and the box is going in the pack.
Yeah,
the box is going in.
Not
that I'm not confident. The box is going in.
Yeah, 13's been my lucky number. It's it's not really a lucky number, but it seems to be for me. And I always take 13 rounds, and it's just because I started telling, okay, what if I do this? What if I need to take a few zero shots? What if my smoke gets knocked off?
That's my worry. I think about worst case. Like, if you're back in the backcountry somewhere, what if you do fall? And this happened to one of my friends on a Doll sheep hunt this last year. What if you fall, you jack up your zero, and I have to take
4 bullets,
and I'm out there and I have to recenter everything, and it takes me 9 shots or 8 shots to get everything perfect again. Yep. What if I only brought 10?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like, just throw the box in.
Yeah. It's the one thing that your hunt's really going to suck if you don't have enough bullets. So.
Exactly. Well, cool, man. Thanks for jumping on. We got a lot of stuff covered. I always have fun with you.
It's always fun to get down here and just kind of shoot the breeze with you.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have the full podcast studio set up here this summer. We're looking at finishing some things up down here in the basement, getting the ceiling up, some soundproofing from the kids running around upstairs, screaming a little bit, but that's okay. We'll get it finished up. It's worked for us so far.
We talked a few ideas for his podcast table. I think you guys are going to like it. It's going to be nice to have a little table out there.
Agreed. Thanks for jumping on today's episode of the Live Beyond Average podcast. As always, we really appreciate you listening, and we've had good growth over the last couple months, and it's because of you guys sharing it with people you know. So please continue to share it. Leave us a review and a rating if you haven't yet. Even screenshotting your screen if you're listening to it on your phone and posting it up on a story and tagging us on Instagram or Facebook. All those little things for a small business make a big difference to go a long ways, and we don't overlook any of it. We truly, sincerely means a ton to us. So thanks for jumping on, and we'll see you next time.